Welcome everyone, join us today as we honor the life and legacy of Bobby Fuller, the rising star with a bright future. But just as success was within reach, tragedy struck and his life ended in mystery at just 23, leaving behind more questions than answers. So let's dive in. Bobby Fuller, born Robert Gaston Fuller on October 22, 1942, in Baytown, Texas, United States of America. Born in Goose Creek, Texas, near a wartime shipyard outside Houston, Bobby was the son of Lawson and Eva Lorraine Fuller. His half-brother Jack, 12 at the time, welcomed Bobby's arrival, and 2 years later, Randy was born. The younger brothers became inseparable, often mistaken for twins. After the family moved to Salt Lake City, Jack grew distant, while Bobby and Randy grew even closer. Both loved firecrackers, but Bobby showed a stronger pull toward music. By age 4, he was singing along with street performers. While both boys took music classes, Randy leaned towards sports, while Bobby, quiet and introspective, immersed himself in music. He tried trumpet and piano before settling on drums, to his mother's dismay. By 5, he played piano. By 12, he was forming bands and dreaming of a home studio. Influenced by Salt Lake City's jazz scene, he performed publicly as a jazz drummer and briefly played in a band with pianist Larry Jackstein. At Evergreen Junior High and Olympus High, Bobby prioritized music over school. It had already become his life's focus. In 1956, the Fuller family moved from Salt Lake City to El Paso, where Bobby attended Asleta High before transferring to Burgess High in 1957. He joined the band, orchestra, and ROTC, and developed an interest in journalism. Though popular, especially with girls drawn to his green eyes, he found school dull and let his grades slide. Outside class, he worked at the Melody Shop, hung out at the Hilltop Oasis, and pursued his passions for music, girls, and fast cars. His metallic blue '59 Impala was a fixture at local drag races on Montana Street's makeshift Burgess Dragway. Bobby, Randy, and their friend Rick Stone often pulled pranks and rode around town on motor scooters. Though mischievous, Bobby steered clear of real trouble. He later transferred to Technical Center, graduating in July 1960, and briefly studied music at North Texas State University, focusing on drums. Music was Bobby's true passion. Influenced by Buddy Holly, Roy Orbison, Elvis, and Pat Boone, he had an ear for talent, famously predicting the Beatles' success after hearing them early on. Too young for adult venues, he crossed into Juarez with Rick to see performers like Long John Hunter, eventually sitting in and impressing the crowds. In 11th grade, Bobby and Randy began converting their garage at 9509 Album Avenue into a home studio. With Bobby's technical skills and Randy's help, they built one of the best indie setups in the Southwest, using Ampex 4-track recorders and hosting acts like Sonny Farlow and Los Paisanos. Bobby even attempted to build an echo chamber, which failed, but his drive never wavered. Their studio became a local hub. Bobby proudly showcased his engineering talents and even invited competitors like Rod Crosby to record with him. He quickly mastered guitar and began leading his own band. Randy, who had wanted to play guitar, switched to bass to stay involved. Even before forming a band, Bobby was known throughout El Paso as a top drummer. Though he started behind the kit in early groups, including one with Jerry Bright, he soon shifted to guitar, better suited to his goals as a singer, songwriter, and producer. Bobby fronted several bands early on, including the Fanatics and the Regents, always as the clear leader. His groups won El Paso's Battle of the Bands 3 years in a row. Drummer Ty Grimes became a fan at age 11 when his brother Gaylord played drums for Bobby. As Bobby shifted to lead guitar and vocals, Gaylord stayed on drums, while Ty helped with gear and absorbed every show. After Gaylord left for college, Bobby cycled through local musicians, constantly testing talent. After high school, Bobby dedicated himself fully to music. His band became a local favorite, filling venues like the Golden Key, Teen Go-Go, and Little Dipper Lounge. Though he enjoyed his success, his ambitions went far beyond El Paso. In 1961, tragedy struck when Bobby's half-brother Jack Leffler was murdered by Roy Leon Handy, who shot him, stole his car and money, and later confessed. The murder deeply shook Bobby and Randy. Though not especially close to Jack at the time, the loss pushed Bobby to pursue music with greater urgency, now seeing it as a mission, not just a passion. In 1963, with support from his father, Bobby opened the Rendezvous, a teen club in northeast El Paso. Alcohol-free and wildly popular, it became a weekend hotspot. Bobby's band headlined, and acts like Bobby V also performed to packed crowds. Behind the scenes, Bobby constantly rotated band members in pursuit of perfection. Even top local musicians weren't off limits. He famously tried to recruit Rod Crosby with a late-night roadside pitch. Crosby declined, but the gesture reflected Bobby's drive and determination. Between gigs, Bobby spent countless hours in recording studios, especially his own. While musically gifted, he struggled with lyrics until teaming up with Mary Stone, mother of his friend Rick. She wrote lyrics, he composed melodies. Their first song, You're in Love, recorded at Yucca Studios in late 1961, became his first single. Others followed, including Gently My Love, at Norman Petty's Clovis studio, and the unreleased So Much in Love. You're in Love debuted on KHEY and reached number 2 on KELP's Fabulous 40 by April 1962. Bobby tirelessly promoted his records, even braving snow to win over the DJs, always humble and polite. After Rick's family moved to Dallas in 1963, Bobby sent him singles to pass to the DJs. He continued recording at home, releasing tracks like Nervous Breakdown, Not Fade Away, and Saturday Night. Though none matched his earlier success, his cover of I Fought the Law, originally penned and sang by the Crickets, became a regional hit and later his signature song. Randy had championed it for its rebellious edge. Their mother, however, preferred traditional songs, though she supported Bobby fully. He even recorded Green Sleeves for her. In 1964, the Rendezvous was forced to close due to overcrowding and rowdy behavior. Plans to open a bigger venue fell through when their father refused to co-sign a loan. Bobby then set his sights on Los Angeles. Music wasn't a hobby for Bobby, it was a mission. Focused and ambitious, he left El Paso with big dreams. While some felt he lost touch with his earlier simplicity, Bobby believed his talents needed a larger stage. By then, his strengths, arranging, performing, and sound engineering, were undeniable. He was ahead of his time, obsessed with audio quality and electrifying on stage. In El Paso, he had already outgrown the scene. Bobby's first trip to Los Angeles was exploratory, with major labels showing little interest. Only Bob Keane of Del-Fi Records saw promise, advising Bobby to return to El Paso, refine his skills, and come back in a year. But Bobby, eager to break through, returned by late 1964, this time with a band, Randy Fuller on bass, Jim Reese on guitar, and Dwayne Quirico on drums, replacing Dalton Powell, who stayed in Santa Fe to support his family. Now called the Bobby Fuller Four, they reapproached Keane, who signed them to Del-Fi. After struggling to attract other labels, the timing was right. Keane, still looking for his next star after Richie Valens, believed Bobby had real potential. Just a month after signing, manager Larry Nunez predicted the band would be huge within a year. Bobby took it seriously, and within that year, the Bobby Fuller Four became one of the hottest rising acts in America. Bobby's rise in the California music scene was rapid. His band's first album, KRLA King of the Wheels, featured a new version of I Fought the Law, but it was Let Her Dance that brought regional chart success. The Bobby Fuller Four quickly became live favorites at venues like the Ambassador Hotel, LA Rendezvous, and PJ's. In 1965, they appeared on popular TV shows like Shivari, Shebang, and The Lloyd Thaxton Show, and even shared a Rose Bowl bill with Herman's Hermits. Bobby began appearing in magazines, parades, and fashion spreads, and fans increasingly recognized him in public. In November, drummer Dwayne Quirico was replaced by Dalton Powell, solidifying the lineup that appeared on Hullabaloo, American Bandstand, and Shindig. Bobby and Randy became teen idols, though Bobby amusingly struck out on the dating game. Despite fame and a demanding schedule, Bobby remained grounded, drinking in moderation, avoiding drugs, and living quietly. His main indulgence was flashy cars and a quirky habit of losing wristwatches, which he replaced with a pocket watch. In early 1966, I Fought the Law hit number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. Their second LP included standout tracks like Let Her Dance, Saturday Night, and Another Sad and Lonely Night. The band's popularity soared, especially at events like Dick Clark's World Teenage Fair, though not every crowd was warm. A homecoming show in El Paso drew a poor turnout, and the mayor's casual key to the city remark left Bobby disheartened. During a brief El Paso visit, Bobby recruited old friend Rick Stone as road manager, and the group hit the road again, even making a brief, unnoticed movie appearance in Ghost in the Invisible Bikini. Despite a grueling schedule, they kept winning over new fans, especially in smaller cities like La Crosse, Wisconsin. In LA, they recorded The Magic Touch with Barry White, a decision Bobby disliked due to label interference. Still, the band pushed forward with a southern and northeastern tour. In New York, a week at the phone booth with Chad and Jeremy and the Young Rascals soured when the club withheld $1,400 over a liquor bill. A poorly promoted Cambridge show also disappointed, further draining Bobby's morale. By June 1966, The Magic Touch was climbing the charts, but Bobby was frustrated. A failed San Francisco run, creative clashes with Bob Keane, and a cancelled European tour left him wanting change. He argued with Randy, and their fights became physical. Bobby was ready to go solo, resenting Keane's control and eyeing new opportunities. Despite mounting pressure, Bobby seemed in good spirits when the band returned to Los Angeles. Old friends from El Paso were visiting, and on July 17, 1966, he spent the day relaxing, joking around, and drinking beer. The band was set to resume studio rehearsals the next day. Randy visited artist Boyd Elder, while Rick, Dalton, and Jim explored the San Fernando Valley. Everything appeared normal, until the next afternoon, when tragedy would strike. Spending time with his old friends in LA, joking, driving around Hollywood taking photos, and talking excitedly about buying a new Corvette, planned for Monday, all seemed well. Though tensions surrounded the likely breakup of the Bobby Fuller Four, Bobby seemed calm. After a rough San Francisco show, he decided to go solo, aiming for gigs in Las Vegas and Lake Tahoe. He was preparing to part ways with his brother Randy and bandmates Dalton Powell and Jim Reese, but there was no deep conflict, just uncertainty. On Sunday, July 17, Bobby told road manager Rick Stone that things were unclear but assured him he'd still have a role. That evening, while the others were out, Bobby stayed at the Sycamore Street apartment. He called his girlfriend Nancy Norton, urging her to move to LA, phoned a woman named Melanie, and spent time drinking beer with visiting friends from El Paso. Around 1 a.m., his mother, Lorraine, saw him in good spirits before going to bed. Around 2:30 a.m., Rick noticed the front door open and assumed Bobby had stepped out to get something to eat, as he often did. The last confirmed sighting was around 3 a.m., when Bobby had beers with apartment manager Lloyd Essinger, who said he seemed upbeat. By morning, Bobby hadn't returned. Rick left early for a studio session and noticed the Oldsmobile was gone. The rest of the band waited, but by 2:30 p.m., they gave up and went home. Sadly, on the 18th of July 1966, Bobby was found deceased. Just before 5 p.m., El Paso friends Ty Grimes and Mike Ciccarelli arrived. Lorraine went to check the mail, spotted the Oldsmobile, and found Bobby slumped inside, hand on the ignition, reeking of gasoline. At first, she thought he was asleep. Police arrived, and Rick, just back, saw Bobby's body soaked in gasoline with a hose from a gas can. The car wasn't impounded, and no fingerprints were taken, an oversight that angered friends. Even the gasoline can was allegedly thrown in a nearby dumpster. News spread fast. Randy, still at Boyd Elder's studio, got the call from Lorraine. At first, he thought Rick had died, until Rick showed up alive. Bobby was buried on July 20, 1966, at Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills. The cause of death wasn't initially clear. Some outlets suggested he took his own life, quoting Lorraine as saying Bobby had seemed down. The LA Times noted no signs of trauma. The October autopsy listed death by asphyxia from gasoline inhalation. His organs reeked of gasoline, but there were no drugs or alcohol in his system. Decomposition had advanced quickly due to chemical burns and heat. Oddly, the report suggested his death was both accidental and intentional, with question marks. Even so, Bobby's family and friends suspected foul play. He had frustrations with his label, with Bob Keane, and with the cancelled European tour, but those close to him insisted he wasn't down enough to do something drastic. He had plans, energy, and hope. Whatever happened that night, the truth remains elusive. Bobby Fuller's death is one of rock's great unsolved mysteries. Several factors suggest Bobby's death may have been murder, though most evidence is circumstantial. The autopsy noted the car doors were closed but unlocked, and no keys were in the ignition, contradicting friends who clearly remembered seeing him there. The report also mentioned no visible injuries, yet witnesses recalled dried blood on Bobby's shirt, facial abrasions, a broken finger, torn slippers, and an injured elbow. Coroner Wan Compton suggested gasoline exposure could mimic injuries, but other details raise questions. Bobby's bladder was distended, implying he was unconscious for some time before death. Witnesses claimed the Oldsmobile wasn't in the parking lot early that day, yet it appeared shortly before his body was found. Police offered no explanation. Friends who found the body were briefly treated as suspects and questioned, though they said only minutes passed between checking the apartment and returning to the car. If Bobby was murdered, why return the body? If he took his own life, who brought him home? Police eventually closed the case without resolution. Rumors linked Bobby's death to mob payola, drugs, or a jealous associate over a woman. While his mother initially described him as unhappy, she later insisted he was beaten and believed revenge was a likely motive. Two private investigators left the case under strange circumstances, one quit abruptly, the other fled town after alleged threats. Some friends believed Bobby may have been assaulted in a warning that turned deadly. Soon after his death, guitarist Jim Reese's apartment was broken into by three unknown men looking for him, adding to the band's fear. Months later, psychic Peter Herkos sensed Bobby had been frightened, though he couldn't confirm foul play. Bobby's idealism may have left him vulnerable in the corrupt 1960s music scene. Nearly 6 decades later, the mystery endures. Randy Fuller remains cautious, believing if Bobby was murdered, the killer may still be free. The fear and uncertainty still haunt those who knew him to this very day. And there you have it. Though Bobby Fuller is no longer with us, his music lives on. His talent, energy, and spirit continue to inspire, and the mystery of his death only deepens the legacy he left behind. Gone too soon, but never forgotten. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on your favorite icons, just like this. Take care and bye for now.